chances are you've heard the names Ozempic, Wegovy. I mean, they're absolutely everywhere. But the story of how these drugs even exist, it's this incredible tale of scientific curiosity, some seriously unexpected discoveries, and a complete shift in how we think about medicine. Today, we're going to dive into the amazing journey of GLP-1s. And if you want to get a sense of just how big this is, just look at this number. We're talking about annual global sales for GLP-1 drugs soaring past $70 billion. That's not just a successful drug, folks. That's a global phenomenon that's completely reshaping the entire pharmaceutical industry and public health as we know it. So that brings us to the big question, right? How in the world did a class of drugs originally made for type 2 diabetes become a household name, something people talk about for weight management? To get that answer, we've actually got to go way back, long before the first prescription was ever written. Yeah, our story doesn't start in some high-tech lab. It actually begins with a puzzle, a mystery that scientists started noticing over 100 years ago. They saw something kind of weird about how our bodies handle sugar, a clue that was hiding in plain sight, right in the way we digest our food. Eventually, they gave this puzzle a name, the Incretin Effect. Okay, so here's what that means in plain English. Scientists figured out that if you eat food, it triggers a way bigger insulin response than if you just inject the same amount of sugar straight into your blood. It was obvious the gut was sending some kind of secret message, a signal to the pancreas, telling it to, get ready. And that signal, it turned out to be a hormone we now call GLP-1. So you might be thinking, well, why not just bottle up our natural GLP-1 and use that as a medicine? Great question. But there was one massive problem. It's incredibly fragile. Our body's own version does its job and then poof, it's gone in just a couple of minutes. That's way too fast to be a useful drug. Researchers needed a version that could stick around for hours, maybe even days. The hunt was on. And this is where the story takes a truly wild turn. The breakthrough didn't come from a computer model or some sterile chemistry lab. Nope, it came from one of the last places anyone would have ever thought to look. That's right, you heard me. The key to unlocking one of the biggest blockbusters in modern medicine wasn't cooked up in a lab. It was found slithering through the deserts of the southwestern United States and Mexico. A venomous lizard held the very answer scientists had been searching for. You can't make this stuff up. Meet our unlikely hero, the Gila monster. Back in the early 1990s, an endocrinologist named Dr. John Ng discovered a compound in its venom, its saliva really, called Exendin-4. It was amazingly similar to our own human GLP-1, but with one absolutely critical difference. It was naturally tough. It was resistant to the very things in our body that break our own hormone down so quickly. This was it. This was the long-lasting version they've been looking for. And after that discovery, things started moving fast. I mean, really fast. Dr. Ng finds Exendin-4 in 1992. By 2005, the very first drug based on it, called Byetta, gets approved. Then, over the next decade, scientists keep tinkering with it, making even better, longer-acting, once-a-week versions like Ozempic. And by 2021, its powerful effect on weight was so obvious that a high-dose version, Wegovy, got the green light specifically for weight management. So we have the drug, we know this crazy story about where it came from, but how does it actually work? This is where we get into the biology that explains why a diabetes drug had such a profound, game-changing impact on weight. I want you to think of GLP-1s as a master traffic controller for your metabolism. First, they do something really smart. They tell your pancreas to release insulin, but only when your blood sugar is high. That's huge, because it avoids dangerous low blood sugar. Second, they send a signal to your liver to chill out and stop dumping so much extra sugar into your system. Third, they slow down how quickly your stomach empties. That's why you feel full for so much longer. And finally, and this is a big one, they work directly on your brain to dial down your appetite and quiet that constant chatter about food, what a lot of people call food noise. It's this powerful four-pronged attack that makes them so transformative. And the results? Honestly, they were stunning. In the big clinical trials, people taking a placebo lost, about 2.5% of their body weight. But the folks taking the high dose of semaglutide, they lost an average of 15%. 15! Before this, that kind of weight loss was really only possible with bariatric surgery. This was a complete and total game changer for treating obesity. But, beyond all the data and the charts, the human impact has just been profound. This quote from someone in a clinical trial really says it all. For so many, it's not just about the number on the scale, it's about being able to move better, it's about better health, and just this incredible, renewed sense of well-being. So, where does this story go from here? Well, the journey is far from over. What researchers are now discovering is that the benefits of these drugs go way beyond diabetes and weight loss, opening up a whole new future for how we treat metabolic health. One of the biggest advancements lately has been all about how you take it. For years, these drugs were only injections, but now there's a pill form. This is a huge deal for patients who are, understandably, not thrilled about needles. The weekly shot is kind of a set-it-and-forget-it approach, which is great. But a daily pill? That just fits right into a morning routine, no problem. And it's making this therapy accessible to so many more people. And this is where things get even more mind-blowing. The potential uses for these drugs just keep expanding. What started out as a gut hormone is now being studied for a whole list of other conditions. We're seeing major benefits for patients with heart failure and chronic kidney disease. And because these drugs actually work on the reward centers in the brain, they're even being explored as possible treatments for addiction to things like alcohol and nicotine, and for fatty liver disease, which is now called MASH. They really are becoming multi-system therapies.
So we've come full circle. We went from a century-old mystery in the gut to a secret hidden in lizard venom, all the way to a class of drugs that's changing our entire approach to chronic disease. The science is just incredible, but it leaves us with one final provocative thought. These drugs are clearly changing medicine. The bigger question is, what happens when they start to change society? And that's a story that's still being written and one that we are all going to be a part of.
Don't forget to like and subscribe for more How Meets History.